There we go. Hey, how you doing? It's me, John Park. Ooh, that's loud. And welcome to John Park's Workshop. Here we are today, the 1st of November. White rabbits, everybody. As some people were saying in the chat over on Discord, I hope everyone survived their sugar rush from Halloween. I hope it was a good one. Hope you had a lot of fun. So let's see. We've got some good people hanging out over in our Discord chat and over on YouTube. If you're in other chats like Facebook, hello. Most of, I'd say many of us are over in Discord. That's where I'll be checking, as well as YouTube. So come on over if you want to chat with us or chat amongst yourselves. Voice levels are still high. Oh no. Let's turn that down. Why is that so high? I don't want to blow you out. You know what? I also slightly improved my microphone placement, I think. It's pointing at me. A little better than it was. I like this mic, but it's not a great clip system since I'm not wearing a button-down shirt, which is what they were invented for. Yeah, onward, robots. We're going to be doing robot-y things today. I don't have my Kid Robot t-shirt anymore. That one was very old and died and went away, which I'm sad about. But we're going to be doing a Kid Robot-based project today, so that'll be fun. But before we do that, I want to mention a few things. First of all, help wanted. Hey, we've got our job board. So if you have not checked out jobs.adafruit.com, I invite you to. Please check it out. Here it is. That's it. Let me not hide under it. There's the job board, and it is completely free. If you want to advertise a job, if you want to advertise your skills, check it out. You can take a look at some of the very cool positions that are open on there. I got contacted by someone. I have my name up there, and someone found me asking for some help with a Halloween project, which unfortunately there was not enough time to get to, so I apologize. But that's the sort of thing that someone local might look to hire you for. So that's pretty cool. Absolutely free. Check out jobs.adafruit.com. What else have we got? Ooh, check it out. It's coupon code time. So we have this coupon code for your use today until midnight Eastern Standard Time, and it is RotoCast. RotoCast is the name of the process that a lot of vinyl dolls and toys are made from. It's a rotary casting process where you pour hot vinyl into a mold, and then it's rotated so that it evenly coats the interior of the mold, and then it's pulled out. I watched some videos on it last night because I wanted to be sure I knew that that was the right name for the thing, and they're a lot of fun to watch. The thing I didn't fully appreciate is that it's a one-part mold, so while it's cooled a bit but still hot, someone reaches in with pliers and twists and yanks the thing out of there so that you'll see some of these extreme shapes on the toys that we're using. They're kind of hard to pull out of there. So check out some videos on rotocasting process. I find it fascinating. Yeah, so that's the 10% off, and that will work for anything that you can get in the Adafruit store. So go check out all the good stuff. Lots of new products lately, lots of cool stuff, as well as perennial favorites. And that offer applies to any goods that you can get other than software subscriptions and gift certificates. Type in Rotocast when you're prompted for a coupon code. And you know what that brings us to is our product of the week. So the product of the week this week is our prop maker wing. This thing is super, super cool. I have one right here. Here's my prop maker wing, and we're going to be using one in today's project. So the idea behind the prop maker wing is this is a wing that goes on top of any of the Feather microcontrollers. We'll be using a Bluetooth Feather M0 today. But you can see this wing, I've added some little connectors so I can plug stuff into it. But it has on it a driver for NeoPixels, as well as the nice 4-wire, is that a 4-wire? 3-wire. 3-wire plug. What would the 4th wire be for? 3-wire plug, which is a JST PH connector. And some of our NeoPixel strands have that connector on them, so you can plug those right in and get going right away without doing any soldering or clipping of things onto things. And that's not all. It's also got drivers. It's got 3 MOSFETs for driving analog RGB LEDs, and that's actually what we're going to be using today. It's different from your typical, I call it typical, it's actually feels more common today, digital NeoPixels where you address each pixel. This is for older school RGB LEDs where we have 3 cathodes and 1 anode, 3 anodes and 1 cathode, I can never remember. Important to get that right before you blow things up. Someone tell me in the chat. But you've got positive, and then you have 3 grounds, and the grounds are the 3 colors that you're talking to. But you can address them in code, which we'll look at a little later, just as if you're talking to anything that you want to color RG&B and mix those colors. So that'll work with like those big honking 3-watt. Oh, here's one. These big 3-watt LEDs, which is very cool. It's also got an accelerometer built on so that you can detect tilt, which we're going to be using, as well as motions. The Ruiz brothers did a really cool lightsaber build, so go check that out. That just came out on Wednesday. And this thing is perfect for any kind of props like lightsabers and other cosplay weapons. It doesn't have to be weapons, it could be ray guns. We're going to use it in a sort of toy lamp today. But it's very low profile. It's about $10. It's inexpensive. What else does it do? It's got an amplifier built on, as well as a little trim pot for volume control, and it's got a speaker output on it. So let me flip around this image. You can see the other side. That is our prop maker wing, and I think this thing is super, super cool. Thank you, Kinger North. 1 power, 3 ground is common anode. Yeah, so there are 4 wires. That's right. There's 4 wires coming off of this RGB LED. This is the 3-watt model. It's got a big heat sink on the back. This thing is super crazy bright. We'll look at it, excuse me, in a little bit when we get to go into our project of the week. So that is our product of the week, the prop maker wing. So check that out. Now let's prepare ourselves mentally and emotionally, and I'm going to also prepare the focus of this camera over here. For something that I like to call the Make Code Minute. Yes, indeed, it's the Make Code Minute, and there it is. I'm living right inside of Make Code, and I'm going to pop up my Circuit Playground Express. There it is. And what we're going to discuss today on the Make Code Minute is how to use the random block. So what you can see here inside of my Make Code is that I've got a fairly simple sketch, and what it does is it waits for a button click. When I click the button, it's going to set all the NeoPixels to black, and then it's going to run through 6 times. I'm treating this sort of like a die, if you're throwing a set of dice. This is like 1 die. 6 times it's going to iterate through setting the value of a variable I've created called roll to, and then it picks a number, a random number between 0 and 9, and that represents the 10 NeoPixels on the Circuit Playground Express. So that is our random block right there. Pick random 0, 2, and I've set it to 9. Then it's going to set the pixel value of the number that gets pulled up. So let's say it rolls a 3. It's going to set that one to red. And I'm also logging that value in the console just so we can look at it for demonstration purposes. That's not necessary for the final. So let's look at it in action. When I press, now I've gotten a 4. I got a different 4. I got a different 4. I got 5. And so on. So I'm not trying to do a perfect die because the randomness, the statistics of it, I don't know, it's probably way off. But what we get from this is 6 times it's going to run through and pick a random number. There's nothing to stop it from picking the same random number on subsequent iterations through. So it's some randomness, but not quite exactly for dice rolling. So let's take a look inside of the console. What I'm going to do is actually go into this snail mode that I love so much, and I'm going to press the virtual A button. And you can see one time it's running through and it is set a pixel to red. Another time a different pixel got called. Another time a different pixel got called, and so on. You can also use the console. I won't switch to that right now in the interest of time, but you can use the console to look at the values get plotted on a graph, which is pretty cool. And you can imagine you can use randomness for all kinds of things. This one is really convenient because of how easily it slips into this variable block. So I can set a variable to a defined range, a variable within or a random number within a defined range, really easily using this pick random block. And that is one way to use randomness on the Circuit Playground Express inside of Make Code. All right, that was our Make Code Minute. I hope you enjoyed that. There are other projects that we've done, or the good people at Microsoft and the Make Code team have done for dice rolling, I think particularly with shaking it, which makes a little more sense. The hat, my daughter has the hat somewhere. My daughter and I built a giant Mad Hatter hat. It was really easy to spot her as we were trick-or-treating too, because it made her almost twice as tall as she normally is. All right, hey, what is this thing doing here? Let me move that little thing out of the way. There we go. So a couple of other things I wanted to talk to you about before we get to our project of the week. We got a couple minutes here. Thanks. This was I'm trying to remember, Chris Ware, who's a cartoonist, does graphic novels actually, was raising money for something. It was an education program, I think, and these shirts were what they were using to raise the money with. So got this cool tin robot. What did I want to talk to you about? I want to talk to you about a couple of things. So one is this weekend, actually starting tomorrow, is Hackaday Super Conference, which is here in Southern California. It's going to be in Pasadena. And I'll be there, so if you are watching the show and you're there, please stop by and say hi. And something I'm really excited about is there's going to be 400 of these Hallowings that are going to be at Hackaday Super Conference. With the assistance of DigiKey, we were able to supply pretty much everyone who's attending Hackaday Super Conference with a Hallowing. I believe it's going to come with a lanyard and a USB cable and a little battery as well. And we've got a new guide we just published, which is Hallowing for Hackaday Super Conference attendees, kind of a getting started guide. If you're interested in checking that out, you can. Anyone can check it out. It'll show you what code is built onto it. We've got a bunch of cool images and slideshows. And there's going to be badge hacking. So I really hope people bring some laptops so they can hack code on this, some wires and maybe proto boards and things. There's going to be the basic badge as well, which has a keyboard and a display on it. So maybe people will find ways to have these interact through GPIO. Anyway, very excited about bringing the Hallowings to Hackaday Super Conference. So if you're there, I'll see you there. Should be a really fun time. Let's see. The other thing I was going to mention is I'm super excited because this is Andy Clymer's mini keyboard PCB, and this is a little 6-button keyboard kit that uses a Trinket M0 with Circuit Playground Express running on it to be a USB keyboard. And I just got in some Cherry MX red buttons that I'm going to put on it. I'm going to put the 6 buttons on there. I got some really cool keycaps from UK Keycaps, I think. I forget the name of the place, but these are these beautiful sort of Olivetti style, as Phil B calls them, keycaps that I'm going to put on it. And I think I hope this doesn't upset you too much, but I think I'm going to replace my cigar box button box that I've been using for the last, what, 63? I think this is the 63rd episode. The last 63 shows of my live stream to switch between cameras. I'm going to replace it with a cool little keyboard thing using those keycaps. I'm even thinking of, you see, I've got Shift and Control picked out. I'm even thinking of trying to do like a layers thing where when I hold Shift, it allows me to do layered keyboard activities. So we'll see how fancy it gets, but very excited about that project, and I'll probably try to build a cool case for it. So maybe that'll be a little mini project on the show when I get some time. Those are some fancy keycaps, Sean. Sean W. Scully, you are right. They are very fancy. I love them. They're gorgeous. I saw them. They were actually made for what's the name of the grid-based keyboards? Someone remind me. I'm not an elite keyboard guy like Colin, so I can't remember. But Dave Estell's has one. I forget the name of it, but there's a layout that's perfectly sort of rectilinear grid instead of staggered space. It's a plank. You said lank, but I know you meant plank. Yeah, it was probably autocorrect. A plank keyboard, or plonk. So I'm not going to build that because there's only 6 keys on this thing, but it can also take knobs, potentiometers. There's a couple different arrangements that he's got up. So, in fact, why am I talking about it when I can show it to you? Check this out. I've pulled up the web page, and it is right here, the mini keyboard, little DIY keyboard kit for Trinket. I got it on Tindy. And there is the, oh, I'm not showing that to you. Why did that not show up? There it is. Sorry about that. Scroll back up. This is a mini keyboard project. There's the PCB. It's $10 plus shipping. And here is the mini keyboard configuration with 6 keys, and then comes with some bumpers. You can get some hardware. You'll have to laser cut your own case or build your own case some other way. And here's the other configurations he's envisioned. There's 2 knobs, and these are rotary encoders, I believe, and 2 buttons and 1 knob. So, and then you can kind of go crazy and hack it from there. But anyway, I'm excited about that project. So speaking of projects, let's talk about the project of the week. So I've got, as I showed you, this is going to be a guide coming out tomorrow that'll show you some of the details of this. But what I've got is I've got my prop maker wing, and I've got, I'm going to actually, let me show you this on this key, on this, why is that not showing up? Hey thing, there, oh, it's just, there we go. Let me show you on here. So I've got my prop maker wing, and I've soldered onto it some 90-degree angle header pins. In the final project, I soldered them to the top side of the board, but when I was experimenting with it, I soldered this set to the bottom side of the board. So these are marked, let's see, blue. Are you on the left? Yeah. So I've color-coded my cable. So I plug that in like so. And now I've got my RGB LED wired up and easily plugged into here. I also soldered on some headers for the enable switch, which can be used as an on-off. And I soldered on down here, there's a switch that you can use for just polling any kind of button. So I've got, oop, my microphone just did a bad thing. All right, I'm gonna put you on the traditional way. My tape failed. That was a gaff tape fail, rare. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug that into my Blue Fruit Feather M0, and I'm using those little low-profile header pins, so it's a nice compact little arrangement. And I'm going to steal the power from this Circuit Playground Express. I'll plug this in, and I'm going to shield my eyes because this thing's going to boot up really bright. You can almost hear the light. Good grief. How about I point that away? So I demoed this last night on the Ask an Engineer, but I'll show you. What I've got is the Bluetooth app, and I'm just going to launch that real quick. So this is the Blue Fruit app, and it's going to say, hey, I see a Blue Fruit LE Adafruit device, so I'm going to go log into that. And then I'm going to use the controller color picker, and now I can change the color of that ridiculous LED. Green is going to get green screened out. Just by picking here. You can also pick the brightness. So I'm going to dim it a whole lot. It makes it so humans can look at it. So this is just one application for it, but it's a really fun one, and I'm using it as a lamp in this project, as you'll see, so it's nice to be able to tune the color. I also am taking advantage of the accelerometer that's built in, so you can see as I tilt the board, I'm just paging every half second between different colors, which, holy cow, that's bright. And now it'll stop when I tilt it back up. So you can decide the orientation. Let me unplug that, because wow, brightness. And I just want to show you, here's the code that I'm running on the board. So I'm running this in Arduino right now because the Bluetooth code wasn't quite ready when I started the project, but I believe Lemoore and K-Town are working on that. So we'll probably add a page to the guide a little later showing you how to use CircuitPython. So if I can find Adam, there it is. There's a whole bunch of stuff that we'll ignore, which is all the Bluetooth setup. It's important, but in the interest of time, we'll just look at what's happening when I send a packet. So here you can see, can I highlight? I can. So when the packet buffer comes through, it's containing a color, and it's a tuple with red, green, and blue. And all I'm doing is I'm printing those names just for debugging purposes. This code will get neatened up. And then I am setting these as the variables read by, or written rather, by the analog ports. So there's the 3 analog ports that our LED is plugged into on that little special port on the prop maker. And I'm just sending whatever the value is of red, green, and blue from 0 to 255 to those. And then you can see a little bit further down here, this is what I'm doing to check the accelerometer. So I just have a little separate piece of code or a little function that checks the accelerometer. And there I am just randomizing the value between, here's this random coming up again, right? It's a theme of the day, between 0 and 255. And so you could kind of clamp that if you only wanted to get certain colors, or maybe build yourself a little color table, like an array to page through. So that's all there is to it. You'll be able to check out the guide if you have questions starting tomorrow. But now let's take a look at the actual build. So this is difficult to photograph in my studio in the workshop with all the lights I've got. So I wanted to show you. There's my little MUNNY, M-U-N-N-Y. He's a monkey, which is a urban vinyl collectible DIY toy from Kid Robot. And it's meant to be graffitied and decorated and pierced and have bolts go into it and do whatever you want with it, turn it into an Atari Punk console. Here what we're using is the LED, the 3-watt LED to illuminate it. And let me show you, this is when I'm using my color picker. So remotely, however far you can get your Bluetooth to work, 25 feet sometimes seems to be about the limit of these things. But there you can see we've got some colors are more saturated than others, and his illumination's a little more even. In some cases, you actually see that there's slight differences in the thickness of his material. And then some things you're seeing in there are the parts. We got a lot of wires and things in there. So let's go over to the workbench. Let me switch the cameras. Oh, look, my camera shut itself off. All I want in 2019 is a camera that can survive 80-degree weather without dying. All right, let's turn that on. 1 second. I'm not going to jinx things and talk about bandwidth and streaming, but hopefully everything's going well with that. All right, so let's try switching the camera there. Yay! And overhead. And I don't need to say project build. All right, let me head over there. So this is the MUNNY doll as he comes. You can see its intention is DIY. There's actually, I have a couple of them. One of them even comes with some markers. These are like wipe-off markers. I think wet wipe-off markers that it comes with. And you can get these at collectible toy stores or online, Amazon. Excuse me. So you can see here, it's easy to separate his head from his body. These are actually the different parts that are cast when they're rotocast, and his 2 arms. So there's the little guy as he comes. And what I've got with this modified one is I've put a, let me switch over to this camera as the big camera. I've put a USB micro B port in the back of his foot, and so you can charge or program him through there. And then I actually stuffed all his parts up through his foot. So I cut a little flap into his foot, and you can see the prop maker feather wing is in there. I've got a battery, it's actually up in his head, and I've run a wire and switch into his hand. So he's actually holding his own on-off switch. So you can see, I think, he just turned blue. You can actually probably see the light off of my hand a little better. And then I can talk to him with the Bluefruit app, or I can use the accelerometer. But what I want to do is show you how he went together. So here in his head, I've got part of my USB cable poking up. Let me pull that out just because I had a lot of excess. So that's one of these USB Bs is up in there. And then here's a battery, and I'm using one of these 2200 milliamp hour LiPo batteries in there. And there you can see I've actually got his LED facing inside the skull, and the light reflects off and illuminates the whole guy, as you saw in those videos, pretty well, versus if I have it facing forward, he's got a really big bright spot in his chin. So I flipped that around in there. And then the whole trick of this is, I don't know, it's kind of like building a ship in a bottle, is just getting everything plugged in and shoved up inside the foot. And something I wanted to show you is let's see, I was thinking of adding something else to this. What was it? Oh, I don't think I want to add another button to this guy. So let me show you on this one. One of the tricks to working with these is that the vinyl is really thick, and it's not trivial to go in with a knife and cut it. Let me zoom in here a little bit so you can see this better. It is not trivial to go in here and cut it, and you got to be really careful you're not cutting into your own body, your own self. Don't cut towards yourself. So I've worked with these before. I've made some other urban vinyl projects, and what I found works well is to heat it up with a heat gun. So let's take, I'm going to open up his neck here. So what I've got is, this is a little hot air rework station. You could use a heat gun. You could even use a hair dryer, something to soften it. And you can check it carefully with your finger. You'll be able to tell when it starts to get nice and soft. If you go too hot, you will start to brown and singe the vinyl, which you don't want to do. And do this in an open space, because you can get some somewhat noxious fumes. All right, so this is starting to get soft. You can see it starting to brown a little. Okay, that's good. And now what I'll do is just carefully cut out It is difficult to get a perfect line, so if you're doing that as part of the design where it's something that's going to be seen, you've really got to take your time and maybe practice on some donor parts or donor dolls. And you can see it flexes a lot right now just because it's so soft from being heated up. And there we've got, you know, like I say, it's a little rough. You can go in and sort of shave away at it, especially if you have a nice sharp blade, a fresh blade in there. I've seen some people sand it. I haven't tried that. It looks messy, but probably a good idea. You might need that to cool a little, otherwise I think you're just going to kind of wiggle it around with the sandpaper. But that's how you go in, and now you could drop in, you know, battery, electronics, and so on. You can try different ways. I thought going through the heel was a pretty good way. What I could do is maybe port this wire through a little hole that I add and then seal this foot up, because he does not need to be opened up again since we can access this port. The only other thing I would probably add is a reset button for the board if you need to double click the reset button on that while you're uploading from Arduino. That is difficult to get at now. I've done it with a little plastic spudger, but for the most part it's been reliable uploading and I haven't needed to get at the reset. And so that is our project of the week. What is going on with these cameras here today? Hello. That one's just disappearing when I hit it. That's actually kind of convenient. So sorry he does not light up super bright in this lighting, but you can see here if I turn him on, you can see that beautiful glow. That's not even facing the camera, I think. Oh, there we go. And then I left my phone over there, so I can't Bluetooth it right now. But that is our MUNNY doll with a nice glow to him. And you could use this for loads and loads of different vinyl toys. There's a lot of them now that come in this DIY white, ready for you to add your own art to, and they diffuse really nicely. So I'll show that video once again real quick as we wrap up. And as usual, I'll be hanging out in the chat a little bit. Here's what the glow looks like when you get that in the dark, which is really cool. And now I want to remind you, our coupon code is RotoCast, because that's how those parts were made. Can you imagine yanking this head out of the mold, I assume from this bottom part, and somehow that comes out of a mold that was that rounded? It's got to be really squishy at that time. So RotoCast will get you 10% off in the Adafruit store today on any goods and parts. Go pick up some parts for this. I know the prop maker wing is not in stock at the moment. It should be back in stock soon. And a little thing that I'm excited about that just came into the store are these Trellis M4s. This is one board. You don't add a microcontroller to it. It's got a M4 on it. You can program it in Arduino and CircuitPython. It's got a 4x8 row of pads, and we're going to be building a lot of cool projects with these. So that's something to go check out. Those two are in and out of stock right now as we've got them coming and going, but very exciting thing. So go buy some stuff on Adafruit. That's how we keep the lights on around here and keep all this cool stuff happening. And use this to get yourself a nice discount, RotoCast. And let's see. I think that's going to wrap it up. So please come hang out in the Discord chat, and I will maybe see some of you at Hackaday Super Conference this weekend. And otherwise, I will see you all next week on John Park's Workshop. Thanks so much, everyone. Bye-bye. Yeah.